from the throwing. Ashenko and Lee. Lee gets the tap close to the boundary line. In fact, it's over, so another throw-in will take place. Knuckle in the hands of the trainers, but that's Adrian Barrett holding the eye. He may have copped one. Ashenko that time got the tap. Winstead couldn't gain possession. Mark Lee does so. Gives the hand pass across into the centre. Mitchell leads. Gives the hand pass. A nice one onto Thompson. Thompson towards centre half forward. Waitman at the back. Called play on it. Must have been touched. And Waitman given the benefit of the doubt. A good tackle by Anea. And the umpire indicating to Waitman that it was touched. And that's why it wasn't paid. So Ross Castle, the umpire, to put the ball to the ground. Clark up. No clear tap. Pickering puts it forward, but it's all the Eagles as Brennan takes it. Puts it out wide. Nobody home for the Eagles this time, though. Bowers first on the scene. Can't gather it in the first time. Does so after that. Gives it out to Rioli. Rioli puts it short. Eustace steadies. Goes towards goal. It's swinging back. 4 points as Mark Eustace puts it through for his first goal. A handy 1-2 against the Breeze, Pete.
A very, very handy one that was, but it was poor play earlier by Michael Brennan, who took a mark on his own. As you see, Rioli, look at that footwork. Beautifully on the right foot over to Eustace and a goal into the breeze. But it was poor play by Brennan because he had players on the opposite side of the ground to kick it to, and he kicked to the what he thought was the non-scoring side, and of course he kicked it to 2 Richmond players, and it resulted in an easy goal.
We've seen a lot of loose kicking in this term as play restarts. 26.5 minutes gone as Ashenko knocking it forward, only to be sharked by Wilson in dense traffic. Hand passes only as far as Winstead to Laidley out wide. Laidley chipping it towards half forward. There's a fight on back in midfield as Matera couldn't take the mark. The West Coast Eagles are storming Goalwood. Awkward bounce for Lewis, waiting behind a chance for Holmes. We're still back at the fight, but Holmes has kicked the goal for the Eagles. Well, that doesn't matter much, but the goal does. That pulls the Eagles back to within 4 points.
Once again, one of the helmeted players. There's Matera. Now, instead of blazing away, he did try to centre the ball. It was meant for Lewis, Chris Lewis, but of course, waiting over the back was Don Holmes. He just pounced on it and brilliantly hooked it through for a very, very handy goal, because they have wasted the breeze in this quarter, the West Coast Eagles, and they trail by 4 points.
Just looking at that windsock, though, Peter, it is fair to say the breeze has fallen away quite a deal to what it was when the game started, which has been fortuitous for Richmond. And what we predicted with this breeze, it'll probably turn around now and come from the southwest. James fell down in the centre. Palm tries to crash his way through. The ball surrounded by Eagles. Glendinning couldn't get his kick in at the first attempt, neither the second. They battle after it in there. Glendinning gets to his feet. Well, annoyed with all of that. A couple of opportunities went begging, and we'll have a bounce down towards the 50-metre line. That's Mark Zanotti, a real dasher in this Eagles team. Lee doing the ruck work. Ashenko came in from the side, collided with him, taken by Miles, who hooks it back towards centre field. In front, Matera penalised for shepherding, and the kick will go to Richmond. That's an unusual decision because the man, in fact, took the mark. Now, I have never seen that before.
Well, what the umpire was saying, that Matera was penalised because the ball was more than 5 metres away, and he was interfering with his opponent. The hand pass comes to Thompson. Thompson straight up the ground, punched away by Pios, taken by Waitman, tapped on by Lee. Good defensive work this time by Brennan, who goes straight back. Lewis, a great attempt, traps the ball beautifully. Now swings it wide, looks for Malaxos. Great pass, well-directed kick by Lewis. Lewis and Malaxos now. Looks for King. Bennett, the player, too high for him. Holmes comes in, gets an awkward bounce, pushed out of the way. It's tapped wide by Keane. First on the scene is Palm, runs around, and Palm puts the ball out wide. It's all Richmond. No one at all there to give support from the Eagles aspect, and Wilson takes it. The long hand pass finds Lee. 40 metres out from goal. Lee puts a long kick across the face of goal. Clark's up, can't take the mark under pressure from Brennan. Holding the man could have gone the way of Glendinning, but the loose ball comes out. Brennan caught one too high, kicked off the ground by Pios. Rioli's there for the Tigers, but it's straight across the face of goal. In fact, it won't even reach the boundary line as Zanotti's first on the scene. Zanotti having plenty of time. A good piece of shepherding allowed Zanotti to go forward. Knuckles in front. Knuckle will tap the ball forward. It's taken there by Laidley. Under pressure from Brendan Bauer. It's over the boundary line. Bauer and Laidley. I think Laidley slipped one in and Bauer didn't appreciate that one. but it's a boundary throw in as the umpire has a talk to Brendan Bauer. 4 points the margin in favour of Richmond, 60 to 56. 30 minutes have gone in this second term. Lee gets a tap. Picked up by Thompson. Now Bauer. Bauer gets the hand pass. Pickering comes through. Tackle too high. Called play on as Pickering gets the hand pass towards Lee. Tackle again too high. This time it's Renstead. And Renstead will be paid the free kick as Lee took too long to get rid of the ball. Siren sounds for half-time. And at the long break, we see the West Coast Eagles, 8 goals, 8, 56. 4 points down to Richmond, 8-12, 60.
At quarter time, there was 14 points the difference. At that stage, the Tigers led 5-7 to 3-5. So the West Coast Eagles picking up 10 points in what was a hectic and oftentimes brutal quarter of football. But Richmond really marshalled all their reserves in that quarter.
They steadied well, Dennis.
Yes, they did.
Early in the quarter, I thought the Eagles might have run away with it.
Let's check the goal scorers then for the Tigers initially. Michael Mitchell has 2, as does Maurice Rioli, both well known on this ground. In singles to Eustace, Egan, Clark and Zakaski. And for the Eagles, Matera has 2, as does Laurie Keane. In singles to Phil Narkle, McNish, Renstead and Holmes. Down the tunnel they go, the Eagles. And this will be a test for them. Big crowd now. Up around 35,000 watching the game. And I think the West Coast Eagles and the WA football public are finding out a lot more about VFL football this afternoon than they have done in the 2-night games or the practice match against Essendon.
I think a fitness, Dennis, fitness will come a lot into this, a heck of a lot, because the players towards the end of that quarter are looking very, very tired and really putting in a few short steps. And you see them walking off the ground a moment ago, players that really put in a big effort in that first half. So the fitter side will probably win this game. There's Michael Mitchell, who displayed tremendous amount of pace on a number of occasions in that first half. In fact, Michael Mitchell kicked 2 goals in that first half.
Interesting, when you look at the Eagles so far in their campaign, they've come from behind, certainly in both their games in Melbourne against Footscray and Fitzroy. So if it gets down to conditioning, I suppose they'd feel pretty confident. 4 points the margin then at Subiaco Oval. Richmond lead it. We'll be back shortly.
Plays on, so the umpire doesn't intervene. Beautifully placed pass finds German. Now Schimmelbusch, the veteran, on the 50-metre line. A flyer, a beauty, a goal!
McDonald left foots it down. That's taken by Crocker. Back it goes to Schimmelbusch. Schimmelbusch steadies from the 50-metre mark and shoots for an open goal. Hardy goes running towards it. It bounced through with a leg break.
Here's his 8th pick, shooting for goal now. Right through the middle. Tight angle, great goal, Kappa.
16 minutes into the first quarter. Coming in is Bayes. Snap! Yes! What a goal! Mark Bayes' opportunism and supreme skill. Bolton in the muddy middle. Taps it out to Williams. Williams has 3 men to handball. It's glorious handball from centre half forward. The shot from Roberts. A goal. Chance for the new player. The handball to Mitchell. His swing at goal. No one's touched it yet. Kappa. Here it is. Kappa has his 9th. Tells the Collingwood cheer squad what he thinks of them.
Forced to kick with the left foot is a good one. Into the square. Kappa. Has he taken it? No, play on. Kick off the ground by Mitchell. Is another goal for the Swans. And they do it so easily. 3rd goal to Mitchell in his 50th game.
Carlton hands, snaps on into the pack as a goal. From here, long kick, not enough distance. Dunstall in front, can't mark. Scramble of play on the ground. Dean there. Kennedy snap over the head. Wait for it. Goal. Good long delivery by him towards Oja, who's in front. Off the hands to Murphy. Murphy puck shot for goal.
The ball up to Dipper and Dunstall. Good play, Dean gets it down. There he is. Taunts them. Dunstall again. You'll have to have the long kick. It'll be close. What a goal! What a goal! He deliberated. Had a long view.
Carlton tidying up. You better kick it, David. Tuck to Dunstall. Left hand ping away at goal. This is close. It's a goal. Number 6. To Jason Dunstall.
Okay, gentlemen, what do we think about the great Aussie goal, Bob? Which one did you like there?
Well, I thought Bay's goal early in the piece, the way he went for the knock from the forward pocket and just snapped it through. But if you really want football as it should be played, that last goal there by Jason Dunstall, first of all, he had the speedster in the little fella on the wing, number 32 there for Carlton, and we saw him running away, and the tackle, first of all, by Dunstall, he didn't pick the ball up. It was picked up by Michael Tuck, got the hand pass across, and a beautiful goal, a left-foot goal by Dunstall. His goal before that was equally as good, a steadier, one that he put down the torpedo punt kick. But for mine, Jason Dunstall's effort, firstly with the tackle and then the goal. Great piece of football.
What about yourself, Peter?
Well, I was very impressed, Dennis, with the efforts of Warwick Capper. He fought very, very hard for a couple of these goals there, and terrific effort, because he's normally noted for his high marking, but he got goals on the ground on those occasions. But I agree with Bob, a terrific performance by Dunstall, and even when he retrieved the ball with from a hand pass, he unselfishly was looking for a teammate closer to goal. He saw he couldn't give it to anyone, so he had a shot on his left foot and put it through. A terrific goal to Jason Dunstall.
And he wins it then. In quest of the great Aussie goal, we'll be back a little bit later looking for the great Aussie mark. And very shortly, we'll be back talking about the first half here at Subiaco Oval. At half-time, Richmond lead the West Coast Eagles by 4 points. Back after this.
Dunstall, left hand ping away at goal. This is close. It's a goal. Number 6.
With a 14-point lead, and now at the half-time break, it's a 4-point advantage to the Tigers. And, well, Rioli, Mitchell, Wilson. I thought Wilson played a lot better in the second term than he did in the first quarter. Showed a strong piece of play across the ground as Eustace, taking the ball from Rioli, steadies and puts it through. 3 goals, 5 in that quarter, Richmond, with the Eagles kicking 5 goals, 3. So far, it's been an excellent game of football to watch, and I think there's some very tired boys going to be out there by the time this game is finished. Dennis, it's pretty warm here at the moment.
Certainly by 5 o'clock, I would think so, and I would imagine, too, this ground surface would be a little bit different to what Richmond boys would be accustomed to. It's very hard underfoot out there on Subiaco Oval. Checking the stats, Bobby, what do they tell us?
Well, 82 to 107 in favour of the Eagles as far as kicks, but well made up for in handballs when you see 75 to 41 to Richmond. Marks, the Eagles way out in front there, and they're taking more high marks, and there haven't been a lot of players dominant in the air. Most of those marks have been taken from short kicks across the ground.
Well, they're pretty even. The game is pretty even. We'll be back very shortly with more from Subiaco Oval, the Eagles and Richmond.
not with you, son.
Welcome back to Subiaco Oval. Dennis Cometti, Bob Skilton and Peter McKenna for Super Sunday Football. Let's go looking now for the great Aussie mark.
Time. First mark. Harris, who spent most of the night at full forward but done some ruck work, is on the ball at the moment. Oh, Crocker, a beauty.
In front is Fedjan, but guilty by Steele. The mark of the match.
Kicks to the centre line. Oh, McCann, a beauty. Great mark just inside. Schimmelbusch
kicks it in the direction of Taylor and Carter. At the back. Oh, what a mark! A long ball into the pocket. High flyers wanted. Capper at the back takes the mark.
65 out. Capper up. Brilliant!
A long kick, a very long ball into the forward line. Capper! What a screamer by Warwick Capper.
Latin, he of the curly locks towards centre-half forward. His target, Dunstall! A great mark! Road to the point of the square. Kernahan in front, holds the mark.
That's the scene at Subiaco Oval then for the start of this second half. It's getting pretty muggy out there. Ken McCauley has been down to the rooms. Let's cross down to Ken and see what he's been able to find out.
Well, the big message in the Eagles rooms was this game is going to be won on time on, and Ron Alexander has asked his big men, particularly Keane, Bennett and Ishenko, to start marking overhead because it's where they're falling down in their play. He's asked the players also to make sure they become one grab players because second grab fumbles are far too costly as far as the continual movement of the ball and also the teamwork they're trying to generate. But they're looking for a big quarter. It's the most important quarter in this game, the third quarter, and he's confident that the players will come in at three-quarter time with a lead in hand.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, Bob Skilton, Peter McKenna. Let's get daring. Who do you like from here? Firstly, Bobby.
I fancy the Eagles, actually. I think that they wasted opportunities in that second quarter. And the way their use of the ball now with Lewis on the ground, I like Lewis out there at half forward. But if Richmond can put a couple of quick goals on the board while the breeze is still going that way, it's nowhere near as strong as it was when the game started, but there is still a distinct advantage to the grandstand into the ground. How about you, Pete?
Well, I agree with Ron Alexander that it depends on the big fellows for the West Coast Eagles. It depends on Keane to take a few grabs. Bennett has been flying underneath the ball right from the start of the game, and they have to take marks up forward if the Eagles are to win this game. I was very impressed with the performance by Richmond in that second quarter, and a number of players who were down came into it. So I really feel that the Eagles, Barry Cable told us before the game that they are super fit, the West Coast Eagles, so I'd be inclined to go for them on their home ground.
Waiting for the start then of the third quarter.
How about you, Dennis? So you haven't given an opinion, or are you just biased?
Well, I think the Eagles will win from here. Yes, I think they've got a little more run. They've had a lot of the ball, as those stats we saw at halftime indicated, but they haven't really finished it off. They need something from their big fellows up front, as Peter was saying. There's Peter Wilson. He's a man who can run for Richmond, and maybe he can save it for them. There's Alex Ishenko. Start of the second half. Richmond lead by 4 points. The final qualifying game of round one in this weekend's VFL fixtures. A bad bounce. It favours Lee, and Lee drives Richmond out towards right half forward with a spiral punt kick. It bounces once and crosses the boundary line. Will have a throw in. Paul Pios tracking it out there, number 20. An outstanding first half performer for the Eagles. Wait for the boundary throw in. Ishenko and Clark. Ishenko wins it down. Mitchell held without it. No free kick. It's socket out of the pack. Ishenko again over the ball for the Eagles. Picks it up. He's claimed from behind by Notting. Dragged off the ball. Now a chance for Rioli. Rioli pulls it back towards the 25-metre line. Almost the mark down there to Piat. Getting across for the Eagles just in the nick of time was Zanotti. Got a fist to it and put it through from behind. The first score of the second half. Up for Richmond. They're 8-13. The Eagles are 8-8.
It's good defensive work by Mark Zanotti.
Michael Brennan on screen. 5 points the difference in favour of Richmond. He's not sure where to kick it, Michael, as he brings it towards the half-back line eventually. There's Miles. I could have marked it and tried to tap it on to Dwayne Lamb. Now Lamb gives it back to Miles, and Jeffrey Miles. This could be out in the full. That was it a mark to Malaxos? No, it was out on the full before he took that mark. And the boundary umpire right onto that one, and the recipient of the free kick will be Michael Thompson. Oh, gee, a bad kick by Thompson, straight into the hands of McNeice. Now, McNeice has gone short. He's got a loose man there, and he finds Murray Renstead. This is where they look dangerous. Once they get that loose man going, there were 2 men on the mark, and the umpires pulled one back. There's a loose man again. This time it's Wally Matera. He ducks around onto the left foot. It's a wobbly old kick, but he's got a man there. Lewis, off he goes. Chris Lewis, hand passes it out wide, and here's a chance for Laidley with a long raking kick. Excellent attempt by Laidley. 8-9 to 8-13, so it's 4 points the difference, and that was a good build-up of play there, Bob.
Yes, they played great team football, and Richmond still very lax. Matera was on his own for plenty of a time.
Thompson
over the
kicks
line,
in.
I think.
Yes, the umpire is going down to bounce the ball. He had a perfect view of that because Thompson didn't come directly at the umpire that time. He cut himself off halfway down that line, and it was the side-on view the umpire had. Tony Gill gets on the phone, obviously not impressed with that error, as you can see.
Well, a player not used to playing a full-back too.
There's the bounce. Chance for the Eagles here. Poole grabs it, kicks for the boundary line, and is centimetre perfect. Just chipping it towards the boundary there, Trevor Poole.
I think he breathed a sigh of relief too.
Well, he did the job for Richmond. There's the boundary throw in on the 25-metre line. A chance for Eustace. He's over the ball, gets the hand pass across to Burton, deep in his own back pocket. He fires play towards centre field. From behind, Glendinning couldn't take the mark. Ball comes to ground. Away comes Lamb. Runs towards half forward. Pulls it back looking for Lewis. Lewis is down there in from the side, almost the mark to Bennett. Coming through strongly, Richmond. The hand pass comes out wide from Ryan. Intercepting is Laidley. Pulls it back across his body. Poole goes back with courage and takes a fine defensive mark. He wants to play on. Goes over the top. It comes to Waitman. Waitman deep in the back pocket. Decides to run it out. Has a bounce. Draws a man in Matera. Goes over the top. Rioli sells the dummy to Narkle. Strides out towards half-back. Kicks towards half-forward. Miles is down there. Pickering wins the ball. Dragged off the kick. Jarred free taken by Glendinning. Gets the hand pass across to the run of Renstead. He spears a hand pass out to accommodate McNish. He goes towards half-forward. Too much carry on the kick. Malaxos couldn't get across there in time, and Thompson takes the mark.
Michael Thompson, half-back flank. And it's a 15-metre penalty, said the umpire. This will bring him almost down to the centre wing. Michael Thompson, he's going with the drop punt towards centre half forward. The high flyers are there. Glendinning, tremendous use of the body. That was a great play. I don't know. I think the umpire gave him the benefit of the doubt. But as I say, he does use his body magnificently, Glendinning. Look at that kick into the breeze. A good kick. And waiting for it is Dwayne Lamb. Now, he'll try and swing onto his left foot, no doubt. There's that funny-looking kick, but it's effective. Up towards the half-forward line, in went Big Keane. A hand pass back, it comes to Matera. He's got it. Oh, sells the dummy. Comes back and hooks it to the pocket. Here's a chance for the Eagles. 2-on-1, but the one knocked it away. In goes Malaxos. It comes loose to Lewis. He's still going in after it. It's kicked off the ground, back towards the half-back line for Richmond, and over the line it goes. We see Tony Jewell on the phone. Very pensive Tony Jewell. It's on that half-forward line. 30-odd thousand people here today. It's all due. There's a free kick. It must go to Laidley. The umpire calls way on. It's still on that half-forward line. In goes Malaxos. He shoots it out, but it's knocked away. You saw that player there. Number 32 on your screen was Des Ryan.
I think both sides realise what a vital quarter of an hour of football this is going to be, Pete.
It is a very vital quarter, as we see. That's Palm kicking it away after receiving the hand pass from Rioli. It's grabbed by the big fellow, Ischenko. He brings it back towards the pocket. Up they go, and it's a strong mark, a very good mark. And this is what they need. They need Darren Bennett, taking marks on that forward line. He's a booming kicker. He brings it wide. And that is the advantage of getting the ball to a guy who can kick the ball. He got an extra 15 metres on that kick, and the mark was taken by McNeish.
On replay now, the ball swinging across, and again loose defence by the Tigers as McNeish, nobody near him.
And Andrew McNeish. He's allowed for the breeze beautifully, and that splits the centre, that kick. And Richmond with that goal. That's 2 goals to Andy McNeish. 9-9-63. West Coast Eagles have hit the front by 2 points. Richmond on 8-13, a total of 61.
Also the advantage there of knowing the capabilities of your teammate as Bennett unloads. He can kick it a long way, and the Richmond player's not wary of that. McNeish knew about it. He turned up some 5 metres on and took the mark on his chest. So the Eagles lead by 2 points, approaching 6.5 minutes. There's Andrew McNeish, live wire on the forward line today, posing a few problems for Tony Jewell. Mashenko knocks it out of the congestion there. A chance for Narkle. Brilliantly done, Matera. Across it comes to Anea. Anea over the top to the run of Zanotti. Zanotti swings it out wide. Richmond in best position to mark out there, and a brilliant tumbling mark is taken by Wilson. He threw himself at that ball and took it on his chest. He plays on quickly, feeds it across to Waitman. Waitman striding out towards centre field and kicking to half forward. Piatt the target, almost the strong mark. It comes to Notting. Brilliant hand pass. Great vision by Notting. Mitchell's away, 25 metres out, and the quick answering goal for the Richmond Tigers.
So 3 goals to Michael Mitchell, and he is finishing that play off, and it was an excellent piece of football by Dean Notting. And since coming onto the ground, that's Notting's first possession, and what a great hand pass it was. As on replay we see it accepted by Mitchell, runs his full 15 metres and right through the centre, and so back at 4 points to margin as it was at half time.
Well, we're seeing 2 very, very even sides out there at the moment, and I'm sure every member of the crowd wouldn't be sure at the moment which way this is going to go. A brilliant handball, as Bobby said, by Notting there. There he is in the action again. He gives it across to Mark Eustace. Onto the left foot he goes. He's looking for Neil Peart. Peart couldn't take the mark. Glendinnings's played very well at centre-half back today. There he is knocking it back to Pios. Well done by Peart, though, as he gets it across to Rioli. He can straighten up on the right foot, and Maurice Rioli goes wide and puts it through for a point. In fact, if he could have been able to see behind him, he would have known he was clear and could have even swung onto the left.
Excellent play by Neil Peart there to set that up for Maurice Rioli.
Back it comes towards Ischenko on the half-back line, and that's a good mark by the big fella, and that's what they need, the Eagles. The big fella's taking marks. Over it goes to Johnny Anea. Left foot, a beautiful pass to. He finds Dwayne Lamb, and here they go. Narkle has got to paddock the run in. 2 bounces. Will he have another one? 3, 4. He runs to the 50-metre line. 5 bounces, 6 bounces. Onto the left foot he goes and fires at the goal. No, won't make the distance. It's in the goal square, and it's brought away out of defence by the Tigers. But waiting there is Lamb. What a brilliant individual effort that was by Narkle. Lamb, half-forward flank. Oh, he's chipped it straight into Brendan Bauer, but he goes in and makes up for it. He crashes his way through. He looks for Holmes. Don Holmes goes in after the ball. It's at centre-half forward for the Eagles as players bounce in on top of it, and the umpire will bounce it.
Well, Phil Narkle down the grandstand side, shades of Phil Manasseh. There's Ron Alexander riding it out with his team at the moment. He's running every yard, taking every bump. McNeish, was he taken high? Play allowed to go, and he was pushed in the back according to the umpire. No, it's going to be a Richmond free. He must have thrown it out. Interesting remonstration by the umpire. Doesn't matter much. Richmond have got the ball. This is Mark Eustace. Feeds the hand pass across to Notting, who's a concession to pace made by Tony Jewell at half-time. He wants more pace on the ground. Notting is giving him that. This is Burton coming away this time. Drives it grandstand side, and a great mark is taken by Piatt. Off balance and coming back at him was Lamb. Piatt gets the feet across, and away they go through Poole now, Richmond, towards half-forward. Long telling kick. Pickering that had his name on it. He went back. He showed great courage. Eyes only for the football. One grab. Pickering's pulled it in only 30 metres out, directly in front. What a good mark it was.
A beautiful mark, and we saw an excellent shot of that on camera. As once again, Neil Peart showed tremendous courage to take the mark out on the wing and set that one up for Pickering.
2 great marks back-to-back, courage marks. There goes the Pickering kick, and he puts it through. Richmond extend their lead. They now lead it by 11 points.
Well, I really believe that the side whose forwards start taking a few grabs and kicking goals will win this match.
Poole on replay puts the ball long, and Pickering, as called by Dennis Cometti, backing back, eyes on the ball at all times. An excellent mark. And there we are once again on replay. Beautiful pair of hands, Michael Pickering.
Well, back to the centre of the ground, and notice Zinchenko's gone down to full forward, and Keane comes on to do his share of the ruck work. A vital passage of the game coming up now as Palm looks for Ryan. Ryan trying to crash his way through. Oh, good play by Burton as he knocks it on. Back it comes to Anir. Anir tries to fist it out to Lamb. Oh, strong play by Pickering. Hand pass. Oh, this is dangerous because here's Michael Mitchell off the ground. There's two Richmond players. Sakaski in the forward pocket. Ducks onto the ball. Gives it back to Waitman. Waitman. Oh, they've messed it up. I think Sakaski with his great pace was able to swing around, face the goals, hooks it back, and he's put it through. They made hard work of it, but nevertheless it's a goal to the Tigers.
Yes, and a couple of vital goals to the Tigers. 2 goals it is to Sakaski, 63 to 80 to score. And if Dennis Cometti is right and the breeze does swing around, we could find that the Tigers do have advantage of it in the final term as well. So a vital piece of football, and the Eagles are just losing concentration momentarily.
Great shepherd by Dale Waitman to help him that goal too. He put his body in there. One of the littlest men on the ground, had no hesitation in buying time for Zakaski. It's back in the centre, one down by Keane. Crashing his way through is Wilson. The Tigers are looking good. Prodigious kick down towards full forward. Brennan, a bit of judgment, gets back to take the finger tipper. The last line of defence, Michael Brennan drives to the outer side. Well-weighted kick. Laidley over the top. Couldn't take the mark. It hits the ground. In goes Piatt. Knocked away by Laidley. Down goes Holmes, riding a bump from Palm. They lock it in out there, and there'll be a bounce down. Left half forward for Richmond, who at the present time are dictating the terms in this contest. They lead by 17 points. 11-14, 9-9, 12 and a half minutes gone. And these people, of course, willing the West Coast Eagles to victory, but Richmond have certainly got other ideas. They're showing a lot of fibre. Eustace grabs the ball, kicks it around the corner. Zanotti's in the way, takes the timely mark in the right back pocket. Nothing happening down the ground for him. 15 metres goes against Pickering. Zanotti wants to move the ball. Away he goes, drives towards centre wing. Not a good kick. He had a lot of time to build it up and wasted it.
That's 3 or 4 times in this game that Zanotti has kicked poorly, Bob.
Is I think there was nobody moving around. I think the run seems to have gone out of the Eagles at the moment.
There he is, Zanotti. He makes up for it, though, with a terrific mark over the top of Peter Zakaski. But Richmond have been able to get it down to their forward line a lot easier in this quarter because the tackling has gone off the Eagles. Or there was a big fist away back to Rioli. He always looks dangerous. He's so cool and calm. Onto the right foot, he hooks it back. There is Keane. Couldn't take the mark. He goes in after it, cops one round the neck. It'll be a free kick to Laurie Keane, almost in the centre of the ground. 80 plays 63, a lead at the moment, 17 points to Richmond. They will have to get the next goal over, next couple of goals, the Eagles, because if Richmond get them, it could be curtains. There's Laidley. Laidley, a chip pass into Matera. Should have marked that. He ran underneath the football. In they go. Malaxos is there pouncing on the ball, and the umpire will bounce it about 30 metres out from the West Coast Eagles goal.
Peter, that was absolutely brilliant play by Laidley. 1 against 3, knocked it to his own advantage and followed up. Brilliant stuff.
Half forward flank, 17 points. Oh, good play by Lewis over to Matera. He sprints into the open goal on the left foot. It's a goal. Brilliant play by Lewis. 3 goals to Matera, and maybe the Eagles can come back.
A vital piece of play. 69 to 80, 11 points to margin, and the Eagles really needed that goal. They couldn't have afforded the Tigers the luxury of another goal. And Matera finishing that one off beautifully, but it was stopped by Lewis. An excellent piece of play, and he has made a difference since coming onto that half-forward flank.
What this game has done so far, I'm sure, is underline what most West Australians knew. It was going to be tough in the VFL, but also the West Australians now firmly belong in the VFL. I suppose the only loser through all of this will be the WAFL competition. The crowd right into this game now as Renstead tries to bring it away. Diving on top of the ball is Notting. Diving in on top of him, Malaxis, and we'll have another bounce. And I suppose the first question many people will ask as they leave this ground, why not every week? Why not a second team? Sometime in the future, of course, as Lee goes up from behind, showing great courage, Malaxis, as he threw himself at that ball. 11-14, 10-9, another bounce coming up at the 15-minute mark of the third term. Richmond won the toss, and in hindsight, that could be a very good toss to win. The breeze has fallen away to absolutely nothing now. There's going to be a free kick Richmond's way. It's going to Notting, who really has given them legs around the ground in this quarter. He has the ball midway between the centre circle, up towards left centre wing. He kicks down towards half forward. In front is Clark, and that was a very strong mark despite the efforts there of Brennan. Clark has the ball, and a man on in the square. Missed kick. Glendinning gets in the way he was going. Tackled by Mitchell. Straight comes the hand pass to Waitman. Waitman gets around the traffic, hooks back at goal, and he narrowly misses. Mistakes from both sides.
Well, I can only assume that the umpire had called touched because there was no other reason why Glendinning would have played on, and the crowd wondering why, but it must have been touched as Keane gets a hand pass over the top. Rioli it is who takes it. Pios intercepts, and the Eagles get out of the danger zone.
Up it goes towards centre wing. It's thumped away. Oh, overrunning it was Ryan. It's grabbed there by Bennett. Gee, can give it a thump, but on this occasion it's off the side of the boot. But at least it travelled 55 metres in the West Coast Eagles direction. Coming off the ground there for Richmond, as you can see, is Simon Clark, who is playing a lot of the game down at full forward, but took a good mark a moment ago, but hasn't done a lot. Cowie, number 26, doing the ruck work against Ischenko. Ischenko over the back. It's grabbed by Burton. Kicks it straight into his opponent there in Ischenko. There's a near trying to get it out. It's grabbed by Holmes. He's caught now. Will he play that in the back? No. Play on, said the umpire. Back it comes towards Poole. A little chip pass across to Maurice Rioli, who, although not being over-dominant today, has shown those touches of class in which we know he's renowned for. There's a short pass. He finds Pickering and gets a whack right behind the ear from Miles on centre wing, and Pickering's been a live wire since coming on the ground. He gets it across to Burton. Burton with a high one. Lee against Keane. Keane punches the ball away. Pios goes to ground. Back it comes to the dangerous little Waitman. He's looking for Bauer. Is it? No, he's dispossessed. It's grabbed by Malaxos. Off he goes. Kicks wide on. Lewis ducks back and touch a class as player. Look at the way he played on, and look at the left foot kick out wide. He made it easy. Brilliant play by Lewis, and he made that easy for McNish, and what a lovely directed kick.
And McNish about 35 metres out from goal, a similar position from where he kicked a goal earlier in this quarter. He's kicked two, one in the first term, one in this quarter.
There's the kick. It's close. I think it might be in. Yes, it's a goal to McNish, and he's kicked his third after brilliant play by Lewis, acknowledged there by McNish, and there's the scoreboard. They're creeping back 11-9-75, the West Coast Eagles, to 11-15, a total of 81 Richmond.
On replay again, we see it coming out of the centre, and a great play by Lewis. He's really lifted the side from the half-forward line, uses the ball beautifully, and Andrew McNish taking a mark and finishing it off with his third goal.
81-75 then. It was out to 17 points. They've pulled it back, as you can see. Approaching 19 minutes of the term. Rucks go to it. It's one out by Keane. Mercurial stuff by Rioli. Wins the ball long into the forward line. James is out of position. Brennan couldn't take the mark. The bums cut to ground. A chance for Piatt. No, he runs it out of bounds. Down there towards the bunker in that left full forward pocket. A rock concert on this ground. Oh, about a month back. Some of the ground is dug up. Probably even looks better than it is down there. It's very sandy in that pocket as we have the boundary throw in. Pickering doing the ruck work against Keane. As you'd expect, it's clean possession of the big fellow. Malaxis at close quarters gets it across to Glendinning, and Glendinning swings it around the outer side. Mark taken by Palm, worked his way to the front well. Eyes only for the football, David Palm. His kicking has been atrocious today. Let's see what he can do with this one. Hasn't got them to go at all. It's about 50 metres out. Having said that, of course, he'll probably plonk this one right through. Thinks he can. That's a good kick. Down towards full forward. Slides across the face, in fact. Glendinning was up. Mitchell brilliantly. How did he get out of there to Notting? And Notting can't finish it off. But he was like a pig with grease on down there. Mitchell, no one could grab him. He slid away from about 3 consecutive tackles and then had the presence of mind to fire out a hand pass to Notting, who couldn't finish it off.
Miles, 82-75. The difference is 7 points in favour of Richmond as Jeff Miles brings it towards the half-back line, and that is a good mark. Down there taken by Peter Wilson, number 5, ex-West Australian, of course. Wilson, since quarter time, has been a pretty good player. There's Pickering caught behind, gave away a free kick there. No doubt about that. good use of the body. Now, was that Glendinning or Miles? It was Miles using the body, a la Glendinning, of course, or dangerous play, but it comes off to Holmes. Boy, if that had been a metre off course, then they would have been in trouble. There's Holmes, another short pass to Narkle, the Richmond player. Wilson sort of hesitated then. I think he could have gone in and stopped that short pass. Out wide it goes. Laidley, number 15, can run up that wing. He's going for another short one towards half forward. Big fly over the back with Bennett. Now, was it paid? Yes, it was by the umpire. They need this fella taking marks for sure, and he's taken a couple in this quarter.
Yes, that was an excellent mark, and we'll see just how far Bennett kicks it into the breeze. He's kicked it into the man on the mark.
Never give him a rap, Bob, as you see Waitman further afield from Thompson to Rioli, who's been brilliant in this quarter. Gets it across to Des Ryan. Ryan from the centre of the ground, out wide to Notting. He overruns underneath the ball. He tries to hook it back. It's grabbed by Miles. Keeps the ball in front of him. Could have copped a free kick. Pios tripped over. Play on, said the umpire.
Well, was he tripped?
Crowd. He might have tripped himself, did he? Or not? Or was it a trip?
I think it was a trip.
Well, the Western Australian crowd, certainly led up by Ross Castle, know about that one.
Desperate times. The crowd, of course, not known for their fair-mindedness. The leaper there was Mitchell, only as far as Pios. Takes a divot. It spills back towards Miles. He falls over. Rioli, superb stuff to Pickering. 2 men outside him. He goes central. Thompson the long one to the square. Piat 5 metres out, steps around his marker and pops it through for the 12th goal to the Tigers.
Oh, beautiful teamwork once again there. As Neil Peart finished that one off on 75 to 88. 13 points the margin in favour of the Tigers, and they fully deserve that goal because of excellent teamwork. And you know, a little bit of slackness as we see Peart in trouble with his arm. A little bit of slackness on the part of the defence that time, as Pios looked a little bit tired as he went to put the ball clear, didn't want to go across the ground and came back. And a poor kick, and Rioli setting things up.
Back to 13 points then. 88 to 75, approaching 23 minutes. Right on 23 minutes now. Rucks go to it. One down by Lee. Lee crashes his way through, knocks it towards half forward. Knocked on brilliantly by Pickering. With the run of the ball is James. Unloads with a long kick. He misses to the left-hand side. Now that could have almost broken the resistance of the Eagles. A quick goal like that to get the margin out to its longest in this term. It was 17 points, as I said. But the Eagles certainly doing the bulk of the defending in this term. Backs to the wall stuff. And really their initiation in the VFL now is starting to sink in, I think. It's not going to be easy. Every Saturday or Sunday is going to present them with a contest. And this man has done everything in the term. Oh, must be a free kick to Waitman. Not paid. Peart crashes into the pack. Glendinning emerges with the ball. A sleight of hand as he kicks it to the outer side. Great mark is taken by Lee.
Can't believe that free kick wasn't paid. Then Waitman was just taken right out of the contest. He had no hope whatsoever. Here's Wilson. Wilson with a long raking kick. Up they go. No mark to Richmond. There's Pickering going in after all. Gee, was he held? Oh, too high, said the umpire, in a 15-metre penalty. Oh, I'd like to see that one. Peart gets the free kick. Umpire Shane McDonald on screen. And it's right in front of goal. This could be a bad one for the West Coast. You can have a look at this one. Oh, gee.
Well, you could have paid it either way.
Oh, the around the shoulder was actually after the initial free kick, I felt, as we see Neil Peart just about, he took about a 2-pace walk in and popped it through for his second goal of the quarter. So that is going to make it very difficult for the West Coast Eagles.
Very difficult, and will lift the confidence of Richmond. And let's face it, they've had 29 scoring shots to 20 by the Eagles. So from that respect, they deserve to be in front. But the player, I think, that has made a big difference has been Notting in the centre, not to mention the play of Maurice Rioli. Every time Rioli goes near the ball, the Eagles are in trouble.
19 points the difference. Rioli, as Bob said, has had a brilliant quarter. I think good coaching move by Tony Jewell to put Peart up at full forward too, because I don't think Simon Clark was doing enough. There's Thompson out to Burton. Oh, he's flattened. Oh, come off it. I thought that was hip and shoulder stuff.
I thought that was quite fair.
So did I. Can't believe it.
Burton goes down towards half forward. Off hands. It's all Richmond behind again. James, a natural left footer deep in the pocket, screws it back. Through from behind.
Number 9.75 to 13.17.95. 20 points of difference. This is dangerous. A mark. No. A bit of interference going on, and it's a free kick to Richmond anyway, and it's going to Notting.
Yes, not a doubt about that. The fans are not happy, but there was no doubt that that was a free kick to Notting.
Interference, shepherding, in fact, said umpire Ross Castle when that ball was in flight. And this could be very, very dangerous for the Eagles.
Well, you're allowed to shepherd, but not right in the mush.
Well, you could see the blood, actually, on his face as he walked back to Notting. Number 43 hasn't kicked a goal. He was certainly responsible for one early in the quarter with a great hand pass. There's the kick, a poor kick by Dean Notting. And he's put it through for a point, and the Eagles supporters would breathe a sigh of relief because
he's done a lot of good work in this quarter since coming on Notting.
Miles, as you see, yes, there's the mark attempted was by James, and there was some shepherding that went on there. It's on that half-back line. This is Brennan bringing the ball away towards the half-back line. This is Nartle. He's got no one to give it to, but he's going for another lone run. A left-foot pass, a good one too.
Go.
Still almost on centre wing as McNeese, or an ordinary kick straight to Rioli. He's had the ball. He's had his own football out there in this quarter, I think, Bob.
A dominant player, Maurice Rioli, and vitally responsible in the lead. A 21-point lead held at the moment by the Tigers, who are playing with confidence right now.
Ryan takes the mark at half forward. Certainly the Eagles have their problems. They're rovers and ruck rovers, just getting that half kick away from the ball all the time and really contributing nothing. This is Lamb. He's surrounded. He needs help. He flicks it out. Again, there's no runner around. This is Poole. Poole goes looking for Thompson. Thompson pushed in the back. He'll get a free kick. And certainly Richmond deserved the bulk of these free kicks. No doubt about that. They're getting in there. They're getting in front. And they're
First
earning
to the ball.
That's right. No doubt about it.
Name of the game.
Crowd don't like it, but that's all part of the atmosphere here at Subiaco Oval, and visiting sides will have to learn to contend with that. Richmond aren't making a bad fist of it at the moment. This is Thompson going long for distance. Magnificent spiral. Thompson. He puts it through for a goal from 60 metres out.
That is the sort of goal that wins football matches. From well over the 50-metre line, it went through almost at post high, and they're the sort of goals that will really lift the team. And if the Tigers don't run a little bit faster, and that was the free kick to Michael Thompson. Glendinning coming through and into the back, and now the kick.
What a kick it was.
Glorious kick from Michael Thompson, right through the centre, no mistake.
Well, there's a free kick back at the centre of the ground for someone encroaching into the centre square area. There's a wobbly looking kick by Ischenko, a poor kick in fact, and an easy muck has been taken up there by Des Ryan.
All the run has gone out of the forward line of the Eagles, Pete.
I'll say it has, as we see the ball transferred down towards half forward. Rioli has been in everything. There was Zakaski though who chipped in front of him there to take that mark. Zakaski going for the short one to Pickering. Miles in front, comes over the back and takes a very, very good mark. And what a great sight that was to see the old spiral punt or torpedo punt, as we see a moment ago for that goal by Thompson. A good mark by Miles. Oh, gee, they're messing it up again. As you said, the run's gone out of them. Up towards half forward. Peart from behind. Was he holding? No. There he goes in again. Brennan against him. Tries to hook it out. 2-on-2 here as Brennan tries to hand pass it back. James has pounced on it, trying to do an Academy Award job there. Stephen didn't get away with it. Rioli has had umpteen possessions. Over to Peart, and a courageous mark. You heard Bob say that, Bob Skilton. A courageous mark by Neil Peart, and what a good coaching move by Tony Jewell to put Peart in the forward line.
Yes, an excellent move. And, well, there's no doubting the courage of Peart. He just stood his ground, kept his eye on the ball, and I think he realised that the big fellow Ischenko was there. As not on camera, but Rioli behind the play, I think has got the cramp. There's Rioli.
No wonder.
Steering it through, Peart gets his third goal. That's 3 to Neil Peart.
All in this term, Dennis.
I suppose best described as a journeyman footballer. I think his last stop was Footscray. He's been around a while, but this afternoon he's come to haunt the West Coast Eagles.
On replay now. James looking for the free kick. Not forthcoming. Rioli once again hooks it back. And there Oh, well, Ashenko had a golden opportunity to make sure that Beard had real trouble kicking that, but to let him off the hook as Maurice Rioli in the hands of the trainers with the crowd.
Well, Maurice Rioli, in fact, Bobby, has had 9 kicks for the quarter and has been fantastic, as we see back to the centre of the ground. They need a goal badly. Chris Lewis, he's got beautiful disposal up towards the forward line. McNish has been a good player today. He's looking for someone to give it to. He hooks it high. They duck back. Johnny Anir has gone out of the game since quarter time. That Richmond defence doing well as Eustace gets it to Burton right on the three-quarter time siren. A great quarter by the Tigers. In the three-quarter time, they lead 15 goals 18, 108 to the West Coast Eagles 11-9, 75.
It's a fine quarter of football that time by Richmond. They added 7 goals, 6, whilst the Eagles could only add 3 goals, 1 for the term. Rioli was the architect and continually got the ball forward, and not just got the ball forward, but the method of Rioli's disposal just brought up more and more players into it as Tony Jewell has a word to Stephen James. Neil Peart going to full forward, kicked 3 goals for the quarter. Mitchell and bobbed in for another. He's kicked 3, 1 in each quarter, and there's Michael Mitchell, who would be quite happy so far. And at three-quarter time, we see the Eagles trailing 11-9, 75 to 15-18, 108.
There's a man with a job to do. And Zakaski, and singles to Eustace, Egan, Thompson and Pickering. And for the Eagles, 3 to Wally Matera, 3 to Andrew McNish, 3 to Laurie Keane, and singles to Narkle, Renstead and Holmes. And now some highlights from that last term. It's Michael Mitchell going goalward.
Yes, and that was brilliant play by Notting with that. He came on the ground, he gave a 25-metre hand pass across there to Mitchell for a very easy goal. You see there Lamb giving it across to Narkle. This was that great individual effort by Narkle as he ran up that wing.
Nobody running at him.
He had about 6 bounces, and in fact at one stage he looked like he was going to score a goal till the breeze held it up. You'll see this here as the breeze gets hold of it right up there, and Keane couldn't take the mark. Richmond, though, did most of the attacking. As you see Poole coming down the centre wing, and with the long kick he brought it right down towards Pickering, who does that typical Pickering mark. Courage floating across the pack for an easy goal. Now here was Zakaski. He did a lot of nice things in that quarter too. He's looking for Waitman. Back it came to Zakaski, and with his great pace and good shepherding by Waitman, he was able to run around and hook it through.
There's no doubt that the Tigers showed a lot of confidence, and the drop in confidence was, well, equally evident at the other end of the ground. In the first term, we saw the Eagles running all over the place, leading, making position, and the longer that quarter went, the more leaden-footed the Eagles looked. They made no attempt to make position, and probably their only real effective forward in that term was Chris Lewis. And although we did see McNish kick 2 goals for the term, he read the play well when Bennett, and they started the quarter off in excellent style, but certainly fell away the longer the quarter progressed, and they must get a goal immediately the quarter starts.
I thought it made a big difference, Bob, taking Simon Clark off and having Peart. There's that great long torpedo punt goal there by Michael Thompson. That was the one that really crunched the West Coast Eagles, but made a difference having Peart down there in the goal square, because he's got a bit of talent and was able to score 3 goals, but they got it down there so quickly to him that it made it a lot easier for him.
Well, the Eagles have had 22 more kicks, but they haven't used the ball anywhere near well enough. They're well down in the handball department with 36 more to the Tigers. The Eagles, a lot more marks, 62 to 39, but they're not necessarily telling marks and ones that would have a big say on the game. That quarter, all the Tigers, 7 goals 6 to 3 goals 1 to hold a 33-point lead with 1 quarter of football to play.
So the stage is set then. 15-10, 11-9, the start of the last term. The Eagles with the job to do. Murray Renstead has been shifted out of the centre, I notice. Well and truly.
Yes, during that last term, he was moved out of the centre because I think Notting got on top and did an excellent job.
So away we go. Lewis Rioli, the dominant man of the term, still trying to shake off the effects of the cramp out there.
Glendinnings's been moved to centre forward to Dennis.
Interesting to note when the Eagles have come from behind against Footscray and Fitzroy, Michael O'Connell's been the man to go on the forward line. He's not out there this afternoon. They'll miss him as Holmes sends the ball square. Chance for Laidley. Clever hand pass to Renstead. Inside 50 metres, Renstead pulls it left and misses. And that would have been the start they needed. A goal from Murray Renstead, but it's only a behind. 11-10 the Eagles trail Richmond 15-18.
Well, what's way the breeze? Dennis?
Well, it's not there at the moment, Bob. It's coming from the east, what there is of it, but I don't think we're going to see it early enough from the southwest to see Richmond finish with it. But by the same token, it's not strong enough to aid the Eagles. This is Palm taken high. He'll get the free kick.
Palm gives a hand pass over the top to Lee. Mark Lee floats the ball forward. Great courage shown by Pios. Recovers the ball beautifully. Puts it towards half forward. Glendinnings's there. A little push in the back. Takes the mark. Trevor Poole looking for the free kick. What do you think, Peter?
Well, he's done a couple of those today, but he does it so cleverly. See, that is experience. And if the West Coast Eagles are to win this game, this is the man who could do it for them. He's capable of kicking 4 or 5 goals in 1 quarter.
The kick from Glendinning. Plenty of distance. Fans happy. Goal umpire signals 1 goal. And a leader's goal it was. 12-10, 82. Richmond 15-18, 108.
That's what they must do, the Eagles. They must get it down quickly. That was Mark Lee. You see a poor kick cost them that. You saw Pios back into the pack. And then that long, raking left foot kick. What's this? See, that just a little nudge. The camera picked it up beautifully. Glendinning held it up. He didn't want the umpire to think that he had his hands down behind the guy's back.
Centre bounce. Very high bounce. Lee gets the tap. Rioli couldn't take it. Gets support from Thompson. Thompson puts it now to Waitman. Waitman floats the kick up towards the forward top pocket. Brennan first on the scene. In towards the centre. Narkle couldn't quite take the mark. Recovers beautifully. Breaks out of trouble. Gives a wide hand pass. Beautiful football, Narkle. Malaxos puts it wide and Glendinning takes the mark. And wide on the half-forward line. Lewis is coming down to give the lead, but it's not there. Long kick from Glendinning. Punched away by Cowie. Off the boot of Wilson. Over the line it goes. And a throw-in will take place.
I feel he should have given that across to Lewis. Lewis had made a position about 30 metres away on his own, and Glendinning elected to go for the long kick. It could have been a certain goal.
From the throw-in, Ashenko taps the ball wide. Thompson picks it up for Richmond. Puts it out towards the half-back flank. Renstead coming in. Couldn't quite get it. Tackle might have been too high. Renstead in trouble, but got the ball towards McNish. McNish couldn't handle it cleanly. Zakaski gets the ball up towards Wilson. Tapped on by Wilson. Renstead dives in after it. Gets good support from Matera. Then the Eagles go forward as Matera hooks it across towards Bennett. And Bennett takes the mark. Only 35 metres out from goal, directly in front.
This could be the start of a run-on, Bob, as we saw that beautiful pass by Matera across to Bennett. They certainly need him firing. No doubt about the distance with this kick. He's only about 30 metres out, directly in front.
Here's Bennett. Steers it through. So the Eagles get the first 2 goals of the final term. That's their 13th. They trail 13-10 to 15-8.
Well, that's his first goal of the game, Bennett. Number 19, Darren Bennett. And as I said, there's Matera. There was some beautiful shepherding went on there. Beautiful pass across there to centre half forward by little Matera. This could be the start of a real big comeback here. They've certainly got the crowd behind them and they're coming back hard.
Bounce back in the centre. Lee opposed to Keane. Neither of them got a hand to it. Lewis trying to force his way out of the congestion there. It's knocked forward, though, by Bauer. Eventually it finishes up with Eustace. Robbed of the ball by Ania. He goes to ground. Eustace wins it back. Hurried kick out wide. It's taken by James. Running into open spaces, Pickering. That's the direction the kick takes. It hangs in the air, and Miles gets back and takes a brilliant, timely mark. Swings play back towards centre field. Had the kick been quicker to Pickering, well, Richmond would have been on their way, but the ball hung in the air for what seemed an eternity. This is Lamb going down towards half forward with a keen kick. He kicks towards Ashenko. It's wide of the target down there. Cowie leads back in the race. It's out of bounds and we'll have a throw in.
Throw in to take place about 15 metres around from the point post with Ashenko to compete. The two number 26s, Ashenko and Cowie. Ashenko taps it over the back. It's taken by Burton of Richmond. The hand pass out wide. Well smothered that time. Beautiful football. It's back with Burton. He's tackled by Narkle. Narkle tackled by Burton. Which way will the umpire decide? Throw it in, says the umpire.
Well, he was lucky the boundary line was there, that central umpire.
Probably a good decision by the umpire, but look at the West Aussies in the background. They weren't happy with it.
From the throw-in, Ashenko gets a tap. It's taken by Lewis. Gets the hand pass in. Mitchell it was who got the hand pass into Poole. Poole was tackled back with Lewis again. Straightens up onto the left foot. Hooks it across. Laidley. An excellent mark by Dean Laidley. And he's only 35 metres out from goal.
Once again, the great skills there of Lewis. As you saw, he had plenty of time, a la Maurice Rioli. Very, very similar. And this is a 15-metre penalty. Now, was that against Mitchell or against Palm, Bob? Who do you think?
I think it might have been against Mitchell.
I think he ran across the mark.